Oh man, I guess we're live. I don't have any cool intro to play at the beginning of this. I think Johnny has that file. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Four Beardsmen of the Apocalypse with two beardsmen in the house. We don't know where Irish is, and Johnny O currently has a work meeting. So it's just me, JL, and PhD Tony Hates Literature.
Stupid people who pay you money and expect you to turn up. There should be a law. Should be a law against it, I tell you.
What the hell is this? I don't get it, but nonetheless. See who's in the chat real quick. So we got Surf is in the house. Good to see you, Surf. Thank you for coming in. Monkey the Work says, not on the Beardsman's channel today. No, actually, we're not on the Beardsman's channel tonight. Or tonight for Tony. The morning for me is because I think it was decided that we're going to start on rotation again because it's going to assist because when we're on rotation, it really helps with our individual channel hours and trying to divide focus between the Beardsman channel before we get much larger with the Beardsman channel and our personal channels was just really dragging too much away from our personal stuff. So we decided to go rotation again. So you may see us on someone else's. I don't know whose, but you'll probably see us on another Beardsman's channel next week. So we'll figure that out. TTF 3700 says, hello, all you lovely people. Hello, TTF. Good to see you.
Yes, great to see TTF.
And Fred Knotts is in the house. Good to see you. Fred Knotts says, is Krakatoni still exploding? So I
was on Fight the Flat Earths earlier today, and he had Mr. Ross Thatcher, Flat Earth Aussie Jesus himself on. I was invited on. We were doing sort of a mirror of Craig's debate versus Flat Earth Aussie Jesus on modern day debates, and Brandy Beaver, myself, Vishanti, and Mr. 42 were on to sort of add color commentary, which I have to say encountered a bit of headwind. There were a lot of people telling us to shut up so they could hear the debate, which resulted in just more of us telling them that it was pointless. They could actually go to modern day debates if they wanted to hear it without us commenting. But anyway, and then I exploded on Flat Earth Aussie Jesus because he was being willfully obdurate. And,
I gotcha.
Vishanti had to excuse herself because of Flat Earth Aussie Jesus's record of anti-Semitism, which is perfectly reasonable.
Ridiculous. All right. Fred Knott says, trying to get your viewer hours up. Yep. As explained before, just dividing it between the Beardsman channel and all of our individual channels was just becoming a little bit too taxing. So we're going to go on rotation again until we can figure out something a little bit better. So who else we got? TTF says, Steaming Cup of Reason wants PhD Tony on to talk all things Lord of the Rings.
Well, yes, I've explained to Keela that she is being a mischievous minx, trying to lure me away from the Beardsman in order to rant against Lord of the Rings. Yes.
Skeptic Dang says, JL, I'm surprised you didn't mention John 19:17 yesterday, which deliberately contradicts the other Gospels about whether Jesus carried his own cross. There were actually, you are correct, there are actually a bunch of contradictions that I did not get to because Irish interrupted me and you went on to another thing. As is wont with Irish when you have Irish on the stream. It's it's his channel, so I defer to him. And if he wants to digress on to something different, I got no problem with that. So, but yeah, I actually had I pulled from my notes and just had like a list of stuff that I wanted to go over because he wanted contradictions in the Bible. So I was like, oh man, contradictions! I've got contradictions for you. I got contradictions. I got scientific errors. I got all kinds of crazy shit. And I put that out there and I was like, well, yeah, let's do this. And I think I got like 3 of them. And then he jumped to something entirely different. So, but yeah, that's among them. That is definitely among them. Also, the fact that the time of Jesus's birth is disputed amongst the Gospels. A number of other, what happened at the tomb is also widely. I think there's like 4 different versions of what happened at the tomb. So all kinds of stuff.
Well, depending on how broad a net you wish to cast, because there are narratives. The Gospel of St. Peter, for instance, has Jesus returning to life in full view of the majority of the populace of Jerusalem, for instance. It was only rejected from the Gospels by the Council of Nicaea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sacrifice to the god of ecumenical politics.
But isn't it? Don't you only need to go so far as Proverbs 24:6 or 6:24, where you should always listen to a fool, and then you should always engage with a fool, or you should never engage with a fool? Like, there are two consecutive proverbs that just directly contradict one another.
I think so. I have to double check the numbers. But yes, it is in Proverbs. I do recall, because King Xerxes has brought that up. He was like, "What contradictions are in the Bible?" Well, I'll give you this one right here. They're right next to each other, and you can read them.
Yeah. Never engage with a fool, lest you be made to look foolish.
Yeah.
Always engage with a fool, lest he think himself wise. Okay, you put these right next to one another. Did you not have any? No, but I mean, the other argument, the point that I would go is, if you look at the book of Exodus, the book of Exodus starts with Moses and his brother Aaron. Is Aaron Moses' brother? I can't remember his name.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, having a duel of magics versus the Pharaoh's magicians. And it's not that the Pharaoh's magicians can't do magic. They can make their staves turn into snakes just fine, thank you very much. But Aaron's snake eats all the other snakes. So it's not that the Pharaoh's magicians can't do magic, can't magically transform sticks into snakes. It's that Aaron is just better at it.
It's not the size of your snake; it's how you use it.
It's how you use it. Actually, I think Aaron's snake is stated to be larger.
Oh, it's a larger snake.
It's a larger snake.
Well, that's a twisted thing. It's interesting that you bring up, because not in that particular story, because I mean, the one thing that we point out is God gives us free will and everything, supposedly, according to the book. But then he turns around and he hardens Pharaoh's heart, because Pharaoh sees this shit and is like, "Oh, damn, I best not fuck with these people." And then God's like, "No, I'm not done showing off yet. Harden your heart."
Yep.
You don't give. It's like, Pharaoh's like, "Oh, wait, no, I'm not going to let you go. I just, sudden change of heart on that." It's like, what the fuck?
Exactly. So he doesn't do that just to punish Pharaoh. He kills all of Pharaoh's soldiers by hardening Pharaoh's heart. So hang on, you've taken away the free will of this person, and as a result, you've killed a bunch of people whose only job was to follow orders from the person you mind controlled into making this fatal error.
Gotta flex my godhood, baby.
There are a lot of God, the Old Testament God, and indeed the New Testament God, but to a lesser extent, they're both dicks. They are both complete
supreme dicks.
Which is something that I wanted to. This is actually it was weird to me that Otangelo mentioned, and you weren't here last week when we discussed this, but Otangelo, in his debate against you, mentioned how historically and archaeologically accurate the Bible is. And you and I have both, from different perspectives, produced videos addressing exactly this point.
Mm-hmm.
No, the Bible is demonstrably not archaeologically or historically accurate in any sense. Greetings. I just need to say hello to Jarl Webard Viduskam, who is a real person. He has a PhD. Tina Jones is also a real person because she's Welsh. I think that I always feel a little bit guilty referring to Welsh people as Welsh, because Welsh is the Anglo-Saxon / English word for foreigner. So we are effectively calling Welsh people foreigners, aliens. The Welsh name for Wales is Cymru. Anyway.
Interesting bit of knowledge there. Before we jump back into it, because I'm curious, I want to dive back into the Otangelo things. One thing I want to run by you because I wasn't able to be on last week. Mm-hmm. So other people we have in the chat, I see we've got Monkey. I said Monkey in the Works. Good to see you. Got D. Elwood. Good to see you. Fred Knotts. Excellent to see you. Peter Collins. Good day to you, sir. Tony Regime, the man. Good to see you. Peter Collings. Thank you for coming in. Skeptic Dank, who else got? Chris Durham Music Channel. Love your work, sir. Thank you for popping in this morning. And Jarl Webard, good to see you. I did not know Jarl was a PhD. That's awesome. That's another PhD.
Well, apparently he said he made up his PhD. His imaginary PhD is totally not made up. Well, the fact that you put an imaginary in front of the PhD kind of suggests that it might be. Yes. Anyway.
And Tina Jones, good to see you. I think that, okay, just want to make sure that I said hi to everybody who was up in here. So yes, Tony Regime, you are correct. The history in the Bible is contradictory to recorded Egyptian history because apparently Ramses and all of his fucking soldiers and everything was swallowed up by the Red Sea, but they forgot to tell the Egyptians because there's no record of
It's not just contradictory to the history. The reality is that the Jews seem to have been resident in and around Judea for 11,000 years. There is no archaeological record consistent with the story of Exodus. And if you read the story of Exodus and you interpret it literally, which has 600,000 men, right? 600,000 men with the addition of women and children wandering in the Sinai Peninsula for 40 years. And as Aaron Ra points out, if they just walked in a straight line to Jerusalem, they could have just gone in convoy, one behind the other, just the guys, and pretty much made it there.
It's silly and right. I mean, yeah. There's hundreds of videos out there. Mine and Tony's were just drops. Were drops in the bucket. Going after people who claim that it's like Otangelo claimed it's the most accurate book out there, historically accurate, archaeologically accurate. It's like, no, dude. It's like I even broke down the timeline as to like Nazareth and why Nazareth is all screwed up. So but nonetheless, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I wasn't on last week and I would have loved to talk about it then. But Otangelo, obviously, for those who don't know or those who weren't there, I'm pretty sure everybody in the live chat was there. I did a debate with Otangelo. And in essence, his debate pretty much came down to quote mining and misrepresenting other people's work. So he would take the work of atheist scholars or other people or physicists or biologists or evolutionary biologists, quote mine their stuff and then use it out of context. And he does this a lot. And the reason I wanted to touch back on is because ever since the debate, he's been in the comments section of that debate, hammering me. And this is over on Johnny's channel because I mirrored it to mine, but he's over on Johnny's channel, hammering me, trying to win, trying to completely knock it down. And it's gotten down to, I think last he misrepresented, he's misrepresenting genetics, trying to continuously push the fact that this is all specially designed by a creator. He's trying to push that narrative. And one thing that he did, that I realized that he does, and a big mistake he makes is, so in science, there are terms that are used oftentimes conceptually to describe an event, like to describe an action or like a chemical reaction. If we just say chemical reaction, like this does, this goes into this, that's not very informative. So sometimes scientists will use terms, especially in organic chemistry, like transcription or translation, conceptually to describe the event, the chemical reaction that is taking place. such as like transcription happens outside of the cytoplasm, then translation happens within the cytoplasm. And so, but it's not like translating English to Spanish. It's not like translating a book or translating a code or doing something of that nature. But the process of information leading to moving to other information, or I would say changing or information to information. That's the process, and it's a chemical reaction. So he is taking those conceptualizing terms and applying them literally to indicate that like when we say genetic code, like it's legitimately a code like you would type on your computer.
Yeah, it's a weird. It is one of the tendencies of people who don't really understand the science that they're talking about, and it is actually encouraged. This is one of the things that I was talking about last week, and you weren't here for. Unfortunately, is you may recall that Matt Powell did a video about helium in zircons, proving that the world is young. Now, obviously, helium is produced by alpha particle decay, so we expect helium to be there. So it turns out that Matt Powell isn't the origin of this story. Really? He got it from Jason Lyle, who in turn got it from a guy by the name of David Humphreys. And David Humphreys, he wrote sort of a pseudo paper. It's obviously not peer reviewed, but it appeared in Creation Science Quarterly or something, Creation Science Review Quarterly or something like that.
It's like the 4 times a year manuscript for creation. This is like, we got this out of here. Check this out.
Exactly. And they claim that that's a peer-reviewed journal. But I've come across a number of people who have tried to reply to Dr. Humphreys, because David Humphreys literally has a PhD in nuclear physics. And he wrote this paper about the diffusion of helium inside these zircons from some particular geological structure near Los Alamos or something like that. That he managed to get his hands on, and it contains too much helium, according to him. That is completely inconsistent with traditional geochronology and only consistent with the young Earth. So he admits that helium is produced by alpha decay, but he makes a bunch of fallacious arguments. For instance, he asserts that this sample has been at a constant temperature throughout its geological history, that it has been at a constant hydrological content throughout its history, that it has not been exposed to external sources of helium. He makes a number of assumptions, and basically he presupposes that this is completely inconsistent with an old Earth, and then it turns out that once you crank the numbers, oh my God, it's inconsistent with an old Earth. Well, yeah, that would be because of your assumptions. But there is, David Humphreys, Dr. David Humphreys, David Humphreys, PhD, he's not lying to me, right? Because he isn't publishing in peer-reviewed journals. He isn't lying to you because he's not publishing in peer-reviewed journals. The people he is lying to are Christians who want to believe that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. There is this industrial conveyor belt of mendacity, of lies that are designed for people like Otangelo, that are designed for people like Matt Powell. And then Matt Powell will regurgitate this stuff, misremembering it, not fully understanding the nature of the paper, and he'll regurgitate it to his followers. And his followers, I went to that video, I looked in the comment section, and everybody was saying, thank you thank you, Matt, for giving us this information. It's not true. He just, he's lying to you, and you are expressing gratitude to him.
Yeah,
It's
painful.
Absolutely. Sorry.
Like, I think one of the last interactions. Otangelo actually just messaged me. He actually just commented. He said, because in his latest interaction. Oh, come on. Okay, so nothing of what I wrote is incorrect, and now in your answer you move the goalpost by describing how the translation process occurs, which has nothing to do with the subject. And so now he's trying to shift everything off. And I think what the hell he quoted somebody, Barbieri, and what I realized, because I had to go back because I recognized the name, and Barbieri is a theoretical biologist. And I had to go and it was like because he was quoting biology code, and I was vaguely familiar with that book, so I went back and took a look at it, and it's all hypothetical. It's all based hypothetical stuff off the what's called histonic. The histone hypothesis, and I was like, okay, so this is all just theoretical work. It doesn't actually come to a conclusion. This is just what Barbieri is proposing regarding genetics. It's like, okay, so Barbieri is proposing hypothesis, is working on working this hypothesis towards a conclusion that we can't verify at the moment. Work is still currently being done, but the science is still out on this. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. So, but no, Otangelo wants to quote from Barbieri from his 2015 book, and then misrepresent it, and then bring it to me and be like, look, this is what he said. There's no deterministic link between codons and amino acids because any codon can be associated with any amino acid. And I went back and I found it. It was like, no, that's not the way it works. Because then he goes on to further explain, and then there's an explanation as to why they are attracted to one another. So this is blatant example of Otangelo being utterly dishonest.
Yes, utterly dishonest. And I mean, it is interesting that Otangelo did not want to debate. During your debate, I was infuriated by the fact that he wasted my time. He literally made me prepare for a debate and then pulled out of it at the last possible second, and I was really, really unhappy because it's one of the last constructive things I was able to do because I've been quite ill over the past couple of weeks. Just unable to focus on anything. One of the last things that I was able to focus on was preparation for this debate with Otangelo, which never happened because he pulled out, because apparently he wanted to debate something completely different, a completely different topic than what he had agreed to debate in. But then, infuriatingly, he goes on to suggest that the Bible is archaeologically accurate. Well, no, it cannot be archaeologically accurate because it claims that the Earth only started existing 6,000 years ago, and we can prove that that isn't true. We can prove that it isn't true with archaeology. Leave geochronology aside. We can use archaeology to prove that humans have been around for a lot longer than 6,000 years.
I mean, heck, just go by dogs. Dogs have been domesticated for like 13,000 years. I mean, that right there just discounts that narrative. At least it pushes it back to 13,000, and then so on and so forth. You just keep pushing it back. But
yes. I have to agree with Tina, by the way. Tina has commented in the chat that your new studio is looking pretty fantastic. I agree with that. What is that posted just next to Big Trouble in Little China?
Oh, that is Christine.
Christine. Oh, okay. All right. I thought it might be. I could see the CH, but I couldn't read the rest. So I thought it might have been the changeling, except that there wasn't a "the" in front of it. So.
Yeah, I've got a big carpenter thing going on. It's the way it kind of turned out
Yeah,
because
yeah, I notice.
Oh, let's see what's going on here. Thor Rasmussen jumped in the house. It was good to see you, Thor Rasmussen, and thank you so much. It was awesome hitting 1K, the first K. I got my first K, so I'm really excited about that.
And congratulations to
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate
Well
it. Thank you very much, very much. I tell you what's been instrumental, and I'll have to plug it here, is that Discord started up a new thing called Stages, which is really, really neat. So you can actually create a live stage where you can create a panel, invite people, you form a panel of people, and then it gets publicly broadcast. Because anybody can go into Discord and go up to the home button and then hit Discover Stages, and it's literally a list of just live stages going on. That you can join that, and you can jump into anybody's stage anytime and be a listener. And then you can raise your hand, you be brought up, and then you can engage with the panel that they currently have going on. And I've been doing this with a number of others in the atheist community and a deist. His name's Jack Bird. He's a really, really good guy. But we'll get together and do a stage with King Xerxes, Corsi Stardust, myself, and sometimes a number of others. And we'll bring people up and talk to them and talk about their arguments and their evidence and various other things like is there evidence for God? Is Christianity true? Blah, 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 blah. And so
Well, I just wanted to say, so I spent 30 years as a Christian, but I don't recall in any of those 30 years, being convinced that I could prove the existence of God to anybody outside of my head. And it kind of confounds me that other people do think that they can prove that, because I think that sort of your belief in a deity is kind of a personal thing. It's take care, Peter Collins. Thank you very much.
Have a good.
So I had the good fortune of being on a stream with MC Toon, and after the stream ended, we were chatting, and I was talking with MC Toon, and I planar walk, MC Toon and I were just chatting away, and I expressed my conviction. Look, I think that basically the entire message of Christianity is epitomized by the parable of the Good Samaritan. And the parable of the Good Samaritan is basically, to me, the epitome of what distinguishes a good person from a bad person. And I still believe that. Even though I'm no longer Christian, the parable of the Good Samaritan really does, to me, epitomize what it is that distinguishes a good person from a bad person. Because the good guy in that story is somebody who Jesus's audience would have hated and would have possessed a strong racial dislike for.
Great. Oh, Fred Knott says, isn't trying to prove God exists in direct contradiction to the Bible that says use faith? Sort of. It's a very, very murky territory because there's a lot of scripture that demands that followers go out and proselytize and evangelize to people that this is their duty, this is their mission, this is what is required of them to go out. But then there's contradiction, and that's part of their works. But then there's contradictions as to like what makes a good follower. Is it their works or is it their belief? And then some the actual direct contradiction escapes me, but I know that one area it says it's works and belief. The other one says it's just belief. So it's hard to say. But we do know, it says, yes, they're driven to go out, or they're pushed to go out and evangelize. They expect to be, they have an expectation sometimes to be rebuked or to be chastised for going out and evangelizing. And if they get chastised for it, they know they believe they're on the right track. So they go out and they push this thing and they get attacked for it. And there's like, oh yeah, I'm getting attacked for it. So I know I'm a good Christian. So the cult itself has built in a reinforcement mechanism for being, deterred, or really for people trying to deter them from doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because if that's what they encounter, they're doing the right thing. And if they convert somebody, they win too. So it's literally a built-in win-win situation.
Exactly.
It's just the way it's literally it's definitionally how cults work, and their internal mechanism. You can't lose doing what the cult wants you to do, because either way you win in that respect.
But at the same time, so I was born into a Catholic family and I was raised Catholic. But I was an obedient child. I was very compliant with what my parents wanted me to do, and so it occurred to me, if I had been born into a Hindu family or a Muslim family, I'd be just as devoutly Muslim or Hindu as I was Christian. And so it's more or less an accident of happenstance that I was born into a Catholic family or a Christian family rather than a Muslim or a Hindu family or some other religion.
Same. I was born into a Methodist family. So I was Protestant. I was on the Protestant side. You were on the Catholic side. So by virtue of literally by virtue of where I was living. Yeah,
but you just think, if somebody's going to be a good child in one of these other cultures, they're going to cleave to the religion that their parents and their society espouse as being virtuous. They're not going to change their religion based on my religious beliefs, for instance, any more than I change my religious beliefs based on their preferences, which suggested to me that Christianity is not necessarily a privileged porthole onto the mindset of God. And in fact, if you look at the Bible, if you look at the Christian Bible or the Jewish Bible, if you look at the Old Testament, or the contents of the Torah, that God has a lot of particularly detestable characteristics.
Oh yeah.
And which kind of encouraged me to sort of generalize God a little bit. And I think this is where MC Toon is a fantastic individual, just a a great science communicator, and just a great guy in general. Somebody who is genuinely concerned for his fellow man, and a Christian. But I can, MC Toon would be no less great a person if he were a Muslim or if he was a Hindu. The way he behaves, the way he acts, is what makes him a good person, not what he believes, not what his religion.
Yeah.
Clive Wells, you were not born into a Sith family. That is a fabrication, Clive Wells. It's well known that Sith, can you find me documentary evidence of a Sith who was not a clone? Because most Sith are clones.
Let's see.
I'm sad to say.
If Daryl M says, if you prove God is real, does religion become a cult? That's interesting. But no, I mean, I think if you were to prove God real, then obviously, if God were to be proven, especially the Christian God, I think that obviously, then Christianity is true. That brings up the moral quandary. Given what is this being worthy of worship? I think that's where that ultimately goes. Proving a God exists only opens the door to more to a whole baseball field of questions. Some of them not really good, because if the God truly exists and this thing revealed itself, it's it's there. It has some splaining to do.
Yes, yeah, that's so let's take it one step further. Let's assume that the existence of God has been proved, and that the goodness or worthiness of God has also been demonstrated.
Okay.
Would that make Christianity a cult? No, it would make Christianity the only logical alternative, right? A cult is the cultish aspects of Christianity arise from trying to get unquestioning subservience to an entity whose existence is questionable and whose moral authority is questionable on top of that. That's what a cult is all about. If something could be demonstrated to exist and to have unquestionable moral authority, then you wouldn't need a cult. The cultish aspects of Christianity or any other religion, in Scientology, I am looking at you in particular. Sue me, see if I care. Those sorts of cults are based around the fact, are required because the central tenets cannot be demonstrated to be true.
All right. Tony Regime says, JL, Fred Knotts, in the Bible, Jesus said that prayer was meant to be carried out in private, yet Christian churches promote group prayer in direct contradiction. That's because they use other scripture to justify that group prayer and public prayer.
Well, I'm going to jump in here a little bit early to cut you off because when you say other revelations or other
scripture,
other teachings,
they'll take other parts of the Bible to justify action that directly contradicts other scripture in the Bible. So
yeah. Well, I mean, in a sense, sort of, I've always, as a Catholic, one of the criticisms of Catholicism is that it isn't based purely on what's in the Bible, which is true. But in order to restrict your understanding of God and his relationship with humanity to only what is included in the Bible, you need to believe that divine revelation stopped, right? That nobody received divine revelation pretty much after at least the apostles died. Once the apostles died, that was it. Humanity was cut off from God, and there's been no divine revelation since then, which seems like a rather strange thing to believe if you believe that God is somehow interventionist. So it's one of the attacks that a lot of Baptists and and evangelical Christians from the US will make on the Catholic Church, is that they believe stuff that isn't in the Bible, or that they claim revelations that aren't exclusively contained in the Bible,
or do things like worshiping Mary,
yeah.
Let's see. Clive Wells says he was born in. Oh yeah, you addressed that. There's something up debate. Should it be Darth Wells or Clone Wells? So
yeah. I think Clone Wells. I'm with Tina on this one.
Clone Wells. Clive Wells says, "Peace is a lie. There was only passion. Through passion, I gained strength. Through strength, I gained power. Through power, I gained victory."
Okay, Clive.
Let's see.
I want to throw a spanner at Clive, actually, because Clive has told me that Clive has been teaching me about relativity, which I don't know that much about because I came through mathematical instruction. So I know the mathematics involved, but I don't know enough about the physics side of things. He tells me that the concept of energy is problematic from a relativistic point of view because it requires a privileged frame of reference in order to establish energy. Well, if energy is problematic, then power is problematic from a relativistic point of view. So which is it, Clive? You just claim to be getting power. That means you must be getting energy. You told me that energy was problematic. I think you're caught on the horns of a dilemma there, mate. But whatever.
The TTF says, yes, can God please explain why humans are the best that an all-powerful being is capable of? If we're the best that an all-powerful being is capable of, I feel sorry for that deity.
well, we're demonstrably not. I mean, cats are the best that the deity can create, and we exist purely for the purpose of providing food for cats.
I've heard it put that actually dogs own us, cats are the prisoners, which is why they act the way they act.
No, cats act the way they act because they're not really domesticated. Dogs act the way they act because they're dogs act the way they act because they are social animals, just like humans are. Cats are not really social animals. A dog's hunting strategy relies on being able to run fast for an extended period of time, but also being able to act as a group to bring down a much larger animal, like a buffalo or a wildebeest or some other animal like that. That requires coordinated effort from a large group. And it also requires that the food be distributed reasonably equitably, even after, because oftentimes, if you look at wolves hunting, for instance, the wolves that do a lot of the attacking end up too exhausted to eat immediately. So they have to just rest. They just have to lie down and sort of take their time over it and hope that there's some food left. So they're not, the preeminent hunters need to rely on the forbearance of other people in the pack. So they're social animals and they're used to a social structure, which, humans are also used to the same concepts. Cats are not. Cats are not reliant on social structures. Cats see themselves as apex predators, and they have individuals that they're particularly fond of, but they're not they're not actually part of a social structure. In fact, the story behind dogs is humans thought, well, dogs are actually pretty handy to have around. Let's go get some puppies and let's raise them ourselves. With cats, it's the other way around. Cats saw that there were lots of rodents around humans, so they came in to eat the rodents, and the fact that the humans were there, they could put up with. That was we were tolerable in order for them to get at the food that was around us. And we like petting.
What does it make cats like remoras? That they're just hanging around just for the opportunity, just opportunistic.
Yeah, well, I mean, cats are willing to put up with being petted in order to get food, and humans like petting cats, and cats like being petted. So it all works out. But cats have not really been domesticated. Yes, nice. Microraptor has it down, and actually, genetic evidence proves that this happened twice. Actually, the cats domesticated themselves on at least 2 occasions. So the descendants of modern domestic cats are different from at least one other branch of domestic cats that has existed in human history. There's a different species of cat that were domesticated in prehistoric China. But there you go.
See, Microraptor asks, do Jail's dogs use a coordinated attack to get traits? They do not. My German Shepherds are lazy as fuck because they live the good life. Most times they eat better than I do. They have very tasty, very controlled diets because German Shepherds require for their stomachs. They have sensitive stomachs and sensitive skin. They're double coated, so we need to make sure that their coats stay in good shape, that they don't get dandruff, and they literally lay about just with the expectation that we're there to serve them. But they're good dogs. Jingles has his jobs around the house. Shotzi has hers. So they're functional, but they literally, like right now, I think, like Shotzi's laying in the hallway and Jingles is probably on the bed, just like zonked out. So, but yeah, that's what they do until, whatever. But traits, they'll freak. But they're very smart, very well trained. But you just wouldn't know it just by looking at them. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the other problem that I had with Christianity, was the suggestion that animals don't have souls. Now, I don't know about you, but pretty much any pet I've ever had, given a choice between meeting up with them in heaven or meeting up with Nathan Thompson or Nathan Oakley in heaven, my pet is going to get the nod each and every time. Yeah. And I am unrepentant saying that. I consider people like Nathan Thompson, like Nathan Oakley, like Anthony Riley, to be deadweight social loss. These are people who have made the world worse by their existence. They have been granted the gift of existing, assuming that there's some deity who granted it to them. And they have squandered it. They have used it instead to proliferate evil. So fuck them. I'd rather be in heaven with my cat, though my chances of going to heaven are fairly limited at this stage.
I don't think, not in the words of Marcus Aurelius. I say, don't worry about the gods. If the gods are just, if you live a noble life and the gods are just, then you'll be rewarded for that. If the gods are not just, you wouldn't have wanted to worship them anyway. And if they don't exist, you lived a good. Yeah, if they do exist, and if they don't exist, you lived a noble life, and your friends and family will remember you. So
yeah,
there you go.
I have three brothers, and so my middle brother is a bit of a conservative. And one of the things is I remember reuniting with him, and saying I was atheist now, and he said, "Oh, what? So you don't believe in morals?" No. On the contrary, I now believe that there is no afterlife. So there's no do-over. There's no makeup, right?
It's like, hey, how's it going? I'm an atheist. Straw man.
There was a little bit of that that I felt.
It's like, did you have the sword already out? I mean, that was so quick. It was just like quick draw. Pow! Oh shit! Sorry about that. Put that back.
I have a very conservative family, and so my middle brother and my father and my mother, unfortunately, have sort of fallen down Fox News rabbit holes, and and climate denialism, which is kind of the most difficult for me because I put a lot of effort into understanding climate science, and they just don't want to hear a word of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, so
such is life.
Yeah, oh yeah. See, Inquisitor Bacon, good to see you. Thank you for popping in. Good to see you this morning. It says, a loving God wouldn't damn people for simply not believing in it. That was it.
Exactly.
That's a big major issue that I have in this, is that, okay, so this being is so a major argument that I bring up is like, okay, so if God is, the descriptors of God are correct, this thing is omniscient, this thing is omnipotent. Number one, it has foreknowledge of the future, and it knows what's going to happen. It was fully aware of the conflicts that were going to arise by what it was instantiating, but the world it was instantiating, by knowing that the book was going to be, misused, mistranslated, misappropriated, whatever, that all these things were going to go down. But ultimately, God gives us the power it gives us free will, gives us the power to choose, and the power to choose and the right to choose. So I can live my life informed by my environment and the things that I do and the things that I encounter, which ultimately make up my beliefs. As a doxastic and voluntarist, I don't believe that we're in that you're in total control of what you believe. Like, I can't believe that I can fly. I can say I believe, but I can't legitimately believe it. If I believed I could fly, I would go and jump off a roof. But no, I don't. I cannot just make myself believe I can fly unless I'm like mentally ill. So I can't make myself do that any more than I can make myself believe that Joe Biden isn't the president. Something to that effect. So I can't. So when someone says God, I can't make myself believe that just by virtue of my education, my experiences, whatever. If I have the right to choose and the power to do so, why would I be punished for that? What is the point of the metaphysical gun to my head saying, "Oh, I've given you the power to choose and the right to do so, but no, you got to believe, otherwise you're done. Otherwise you're condemned." Yeah. It's like that makes no sense. Literally is the definition of authoritarian control.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's revealing to me that 4 of the strictures that are popularly called the 10 Commandments have to do with not bruising God's ego. So what, you're saying that God is an insecure fuckwit?
Apparently.
Because that's kind of what he sounds like based on those 4. If I started a religion, if I started any sort of movement and just said, well, the first 4 rules, you can't talk nice about anybody but me, and you must talk nice about me, and you must dedicate a day a week to talking about me, people would go, wow, that PhD Tony guy sounds like a bit of a narcissistic prick. Maybe I don't want to hang around him.
Holy fuck, I made all these humans and they all have bigger dicks than I do. God damn me, damn it. So I don't know what it's short man syndrome. I don't know what the fuck the problem is. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, go ahead.
People are laying into me about this Dimetrodon thing. They're not dinosaurs. Get used to it. Okay.
Dimetrodon, well, okay. The colloquial, I mean, if we're using that, in the 165 million years, Dimetrodons are included, just like Dimetrodon, Edmontosaurus, like that. I mean, these were in there. I mean,
Dimetrodons are non-mammalian synapsids. You can look it up. They don't have 4 fenestra in their skulls. Therefore, they are not diapsids. Therefore, they are not dinosaurs. Jesus, you guys.
They look like dinosaurs.
Yes, they look cool. When I was the Jarl Webbard says, stop insulting Tony's parents. When I was saying earlier today that when I was a kid, my favorite dinosaurs were Dimetrodons, and then I grew up and they weren't dinosaurs the entire time. Now my favorite dinosaurs, for those people keeping count, are ankylosaurs.
Ankylosaurs, very nice. I like it. Yes. That's a marvel. That dinosaur is a marvel of evolution. I think that is a very cool. I mean, just to come out to that respect. Inquisitor Bacon says, JL, wait a minute. Is it a religious version of George Carlin's bigger dick foreign policy theory? Yes, it is. It very much is. Inquisitor Bacon says, apparently a perfect being is also narcissistic and needs worship in order to feel good about himself. Perfection sucks, I guess. It's lonely at the top. Apparently.
Well, it never says in the 10 Commandments that God is perfect. It just says, shut the fuck up and worship me, you worthless sack of shit. Every now and again, when Jessica G does her gaming streams, she asks that I lead a prayer group. And one of the themes I refer to is thanking God that he isn't any bigger a cunt than he already is, because that would be bad.
Yes.
That he isn't any more sexist, racist, or homicidal than he has already been demonstrated to be.
Oh, let me see here. So, Skeptic Dank's favorite is Ankylosaurus as well. This is his favorite dinosaur. I love this one. And I got this immediately because I think it's cool. Iguanodon, because they are cool with everything. Because the thumb that
Yeah.
that's hilarious. My wife's favorite, Angela's favorite, is Pachy's, is Pachycephalosaurus. Is her absolute.
Pachycephalosaurus.
She loves the Pachy. Thinks it's the absolutely just most adorable thing she's ever made, and of course the evolutionary advantage of having a battering ram for a head and spine, which is pretty badass. So she loves Pachy's.
So what is his name? Oh God, I've forgotten. The actor from Jurassic Park 2 who plays the hunter.
Oh, Pete Postlethwaite?
Yes, Peter Postlethwaite. Yeah, Friar Tuck. Get the Friar Tuck.
The pompadour, Elvis. I love that. This one. But the bold one, the Friar Tuck.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Inquisitor Bacon says, I want to ride a pterodactyl. Technically, they didn't fly. They glided.
No, they could fly. But pterosaurs, and I was just having this debate on Crafty Keeler's live stream before coming here. Pterosaurs are not dinosaurs. Live with it. Dinosaurs, by definition, did not fly.
But my favorite one, just by virtue of its name, was Rhamphorhynchus.
Yeah,
I just thought that was always just a cool essay. And then Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah,
the Quetzalcoatl is just
which is giraffe-sized, a giraffe-sized pterosaur.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see. What Inquisitor Bakes wasn't the hunter in Jurassic Park 2 also Brother Gilbert from Dragonheart? Gotta love a guy who tells the guy he shot in the ass with an arrow to turn the other cheek. Yes. Turn the other cheek, brother. So
he was also the priest from Romeo plus Juliet.
Romeo plus Juliet.
And he was weirdly cast as Kobayashi in The Usual Suspects. Because I say weirdly because he had an Indian accent. He himself is English, and Kobayashi is a very Japanese name, meaning Littlewood. Tina Jones asked.
Oh, they did the same thing with John. Oh, go ahead. Oh, Tinosaurus?
Tinosaurus, yes. Rob Parks, Kobayashi, which means Littlewood. Interestingly, Kobayashi translates to Shaolin or Shaorin in Chinese. So basically the same, little forest or little wood.
Well, they did the same thing with Sean Connery in Highlander. He was a Scotsman with a Japanese blade from Egypt and a Spanish name.
Yeah, that's right.
So. All right, so I wanted to run this by you. This is something interesting since we're on this topic. So you're familiar with the Ark encounter in Kentucky, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they're planning on making they want to expand it. They're currently going to the state, trying to get state funds to expand the whole expand the whole park out and do more stuff. They want to do like a Seven Plagues ride and various other weird shit. But their next big thing, the one thing they have in the dock, is they want to build a Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Which is one of the weirdest elements of the Bible, right? I mean, the Bible, if you're a biblical literalist, then these people were working on a tower that could reach to heaven. Okay, fine. Where exactly is the archaeological evidence for that? And how big a structure must have been? Because we built a lot of tall buildings and we haven't reached heaven yet. So how high was that tower going to be?
Well, not to mention, actually reading the scripture, when they were building this, the words, if I'm quoting this correctly, was look at what they can accomplish when they all work together. We must go down and stop them, because if we let them just get away with this, they won't need us anymore.
Yeah.
So let us go down and destroy their tower and confound them and confuse their language. So that's literally God be like, holy shit, we're in a bad spot, because if they pull this shit off, we're fucked, because it's like, oh wow, we really don't need God. We can pretty much do it ourselves. So fuck off. And it's like, oh no, smash your little tower and confound your languages and scatter you to the winds. Nobody understands each other. That right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the story is, so, that was about 700 years after the flood, right? So about
Roughly,
1900, about 1900 BCE, 1900 BCE, by which at least 3 different written languages, and I think actually 4, existed by that point in human history. Were archaeologically in evidence. Egyptian, cuneiform, Harappan, and Chinese, I think, all existed by 1900 BCE. So the idea that the various human languages only diverged at that point, well, we have writings from before then. In fact, well before then. The earliest cuneiform tablets that we have date from somewhere between 3000 BCE to 3500 BCE. The typical date is 3300, 3200 BCE. It's just, it makes zero sense if you have any familiarity with the archaeological evidence.
Yeah. The evidence itself is kind of what knocks it down. But of course, hardcore people like Otangelo, they say that we're just we're misunderstanding the evidence, or we're just saying we assume that we're presupposing that God doesn't exist, and using that to inform what our conclusions about the evidence is like that we're begging the question as badly as they are. It's like, no, that's not the way it works. We didn't say, no, there's no God. Let's go look for evidence of no God. Oh, look, this stuff is just no God. It's like, no, it's okay. These people believed a certain thing. Let's go out and dig up their history and shit. And it's like, oh, interesting. They believe these things, but no, it doesn't. That's not the way science works. It's not the way anything works.
Otangelo does that a lot. He kind of assumes that there's a probability distribution function with given characteristics. So there is a 50% chance that there exists God, and there is a 50% chance that God doesn't exist. No, that's not the probability distribution function. That's your assumed probability distribution function, and you choose evidence that reinforces the 50% that it exists. Actually, there's no evidence that it exists whatsoever. So you assuming that it has a 50% chance of being yes or no is just a misrepresentation of reality.
Yeah. Oh, good. They actually got my joke. So what was it? Daryl M said, "What about the stairway?" And then I said, "No." I said, "No stairway to heaven." And then Inquisitor Bacon with the slam dunk, "No stairway, denied." It's like, yes, very much so. Mike Rapper says 6,000 years ago, God created the earth, making the Sumerians very surprised.
and a bunch of other people. But yes, the Mesopotamians in general were very, would have been very, and the Harappans. I mean, it's one of the sad facts is that we cannot read Harappan.
See, Inquisitor Bacon says, I had a talk with Otangelo before. I really don't think he'll ever be able to get through to me. He won't be able to get through to most people. But I guarantee he's going to try, because, like I said, he is still commenting on that debate, wanting to engage with me. I'm done. I really am. I'm tired. And frankly, I'm sick and tired of going back and forth about shit trying to. So I'm not his genetics teacher. I'm not his teacher on anything. My job is to put him in front of the stage and let him embarrass himself. That's my job as an interlocutor.
Have you considered debating him on the historical and archaeological accuracy of the Bible?
I'll do that as well. He hasn't brought it up, but I'll be happy to do that. I mean, hell, I did I did a video on it. So
Yeah, I would encourage you to do so, because sort of, he doesn't want to debate the physical evidence for the age of the earth, but he does want to assert that the Bible is archaeologically accurate. Well, it can't be archaeologically accurate if the techniques we use for dating the earth are correct.
Yeah, well, I mean, I doubt he understands the different dating methods and why some are used and why some are used in one field and others are used in another field. But yeah, I'll be happy to do it, because it's not just about what the Bible says. It's about the fact that he happens to forget that there were cultures surrounding, like the Jews weren't the only people there in Canaan. Okay, every tribe in that area was after control of the resources of the Near East. Everyone wanted, and the Assyrians are pretty much the ones that came out and be like, you know what, we fucking got this. And then eventually the Persians after them, and so on and so forth. So it kind of, I mean, everybody was fighting for something over there. The Jews were just the ones that happened to kind of like, make it out with their shit intact. I mean, everyone else was pretty much swallowed up by either by the Persian Empire or the Assyrian Empire, the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Stuff like that. So this is just the way it goes. But I'd love to knock him down, because Cyrus the Great, a lot of problems there, because he didn't really think he was a Messiah, but the Jews certainly thought he was.
Yeah. Well, I just want to raise one point, which is to say that in the geological history of the Earth, there was a period of widespread glaciation, glacial cover in Australia, in Death Valley, in Oman, in Namibia, in China, that all coincides in timing. And you can see these glaciological sediments called diamictites, which are these very fine silt layers that have ice rafted drop stones in them. So basically the ice drifts off the edge of the ice sheet carrying these big stones, and they drop into the silt that is discharged from the bottom of the glacier. And that happens, you can find these sediments in approximately the same point in the stratigraphic record across the globe. And this is known as the Huronian or Macanyan, I'm not entirely certain of the pronunciation there, glaciation, about 600 million years ago, I think. It's called the Snowball Earth period. And you find these in Oman, right? In the Middle East, there is this glaciological layer. And on top of that, there are meters of carbonaceous capstones. And we well understand why this is, because in order to get out of that snowball Earth with a very low albedo, you need huge amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to provide enough greenhouse gas reinforcement to get out of that. And so as soon as the oceans become non-ice covered, all of a sudden there's this excess carbon dioxide that gets absorbed into the oceans, that gets turned into this carbonaceous capstone that forms this tens of meters of carbonaceous capstone on top of this glaciogenic diamictite. When in the young Earth creation timeline did that happen, right? Why did nobody think to record the fact that Oman, right, was covered by a fucking glacier and then had 10 meters of carbonaceous capstone form on top of it?
Well, apparently we said his name enough times because he's in the live chat.
Okay. I don't. So, Tangelo, you cannot claim in the same breath that the Bible is archaeologically correct and then dispute the age of the Earth. We know the age of the Earth using objective dating techniques, right? We can tell that Göbekli Tepe, for instance, is 13,000 years old. This in and of itself is inconsistent with the biblical narrative. we can determine from geological evidence that there was no global inundation at the point where the Bible claims that it happened. We can find no archaeological or historical support for the Exodus narrative that comes from the Old Testament. Literally nothing in the Old Testament prior to the Babylonian captivity can be attested to independently. There is no archaeological evidence for it. There is no historical evidence for it. And you claiming that the Bible is historically and archaeologically accurate is a lie. It's untrue, Atangelo. And you can either accept the physical evidence that is involved here, or you can simply say, okay, well, I don't believe the physical evidence. No, Noah's Ark has not been found on Mount Ararat.
He saw that video too. Like, he literally, and this is his response. Google Noah's Ark has been found with high probability on Mount Ararat. Oh, Daniel, do you understand how Google works? Do you fucking get that? Like, any nonsense, I could put whatever nonsense I want out there, and if I go out and I specifically look for the nonsense that I'm putting out, I will find it if it's out there. Any crackpot can write some shit, put it on the internet, and if you go looking specifically for that shit, you will find it. And no, You're wrong. That's a hoax. It's bullshit. So, it's been debunked.
No, well, it was so. I remember when people were very excited using satellite imagery, saying, "Look at this thing on Mount Ararat that looks like it might be an ark," and then people went there and found that it wasn't an ark. That it was just a geological feature. No, Atangelo. Noah's Ark has not been found. And if you're going to do a search for that, do a search for exactly the same thing, but add debunked on the end of the search. Atangelo, proof is not in the scientific. You need to provide evidence that it is accurate. I don't need to provide evidence that it is inaccurate. You need to provide evidence that it is accurate. That's how science works.
And I've got it right here. I actually pulled it. So from David Franklin Fassel, from Lawrence Gene Collins, Department of Geological Sciences, California State University, Northridge, California.
No, you haven't. I just want to interrupt, Atangelo. No, you have not provided any evidence.
Yeah,
you have literally provided zero evidence, Atangelo, that this is real.
Okay, so the Ark thing. So I've literally found it. So Noah's Ark from Turkey exposes common geological structure. This is Lawrence Gene Collins from the Department of Geological Sciences in California State University, CSU Northridge. A natural rock structure near Dagubayat, Turkey, has been misidentified as Noah's Ark. Microscopic studies of a supposed iron bracket show that it is derived from weathered volcanic minerals. Supposed metal-braced walls are natural concentrations of limonite and magnetite in steeply inclined sedimentary layers in the limbs of a doubly plunging syncline. Supposed fossilized gopher wood bark is crinkled metamorphosed peridotite. Fossiliferous limestone, interpreted as cross-cutting the syncline, preclude the structure from being Noah's Ark because these supposed flood deposits are younger than the Ark. Anchor stones at Kazan Arzab are derived from local andesite and not from Mesopotamia. Boom. And I will put that link. In the chat.
Atangelo, when you say that's just your opinion, I am a qualified expert in geochronology and in geophysics. You are not. So my opinion carries a lot more weight than your opinion. And you can dislike that as much as you like. It's just fucking reality. And I don't care if you're offended by it. I don't care if you think I'm being unfair. Either publish your bullshit claims in a peer-reviewed journal or shut the fuck up, because I'm sick of you lying. This is a lie. Unless you can publish it in a peer-reviewed journal and get it past peer review, you are lying. You are just misrepresenting science and reality.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. And no, Otangelo, this is my fucking stream. And no, unless I'm debating your dumbass, I'm not interested in having you on my shit. You've literally been following me around. Okay? You have blown up the comment section trying to win that fucking debate, which you did not. And I don't say this trying to toot my own fucking horn. Every person who watched that debate, every single person, even the Christians who watched that debate, say you lost. Okay? The theists think you lost. Then you follow me on Discord and try to pull the same shit there. So everywhere I go, there's Otangelo chasing after me, trying to demonstrate, trying to, for some reason, demonstrate his prowess and win a debate over a fucking week ago. Take the L and go do more work. Okay? I'm not interested.
So, Otangelo, publish it in a peer-reviewed fucking journal or shut your fucking mouth.
I'm not playing hang on a sec. I'm not playing the victim card, Otangelo. You're the one chasing after me. Okay? And it's pointless, man. You're the one. If you want to continue to embarrass yourself, go right the fuck ahead. It is not my. You hold no normative demand over me. Okay? I don't need to do the things that you're fucking demanding of me. I did the work. You didn't do the work. So go do the fucking work. I'm not your fucking teacher. I'm not your professor. The state doesn't pay me to teach you shit.
And so, Otangelo, a result is not established until it has passed peer review. Saying peer review is underway is meaningless, right? That is just saying it hasn't passed peer review, right? Until it passes peer review, it's just gibberish. It's meaningless. It may as well not exist. It has no scientific validity. It has no argumentative validity. So shut the fuck up until after it is published in a peer-reviewed journal. I don't care what you're talking about, Otangelo. Provide me with a link to a peer-reviewed article in a reputable journal or shut up. Because either it has undergone peer review and appeared in the literature or it has not. If it has not, then it is not scientific reality.
So I'm literally, so Otangelo keeps saying, Otangelo, I never mentioned Ron Wyatt's. I didn't. What I talked about was that people, like actual scientists, went out and said, hey, look, we're going to go check out this claim that the Ark was found in Turkey. And they debunked it. It's not there. Like legitimately, like this was it's like literally the face on Mars. That's literally what it is. It's the fucking face on Mars. It's a geological formation, a trick of light and shadow. That's it. Okay, so I'm sorry, dude. This is not the way it works. And yes, Otangelo's gonna sit here and push his fucking like blog and the shit that he writes down. Don't bother. Don't bother going there. Do the work yourself. Don't go. His fucking blog. Hang on. His blog is like John Doe's Notebooks in 7. Okay, so don't.
So any peer-reviewed article will come with a DOI reference, right? Which will provide a link to. And when you say your friend, I am the person you agreed to debate on the age of the earth, and then you decided that all of a sudden what you'd rather debate is my belief system rather than the age of the earth, as though somehow the two are connected. I believed in God well after I knew that the earth was not 6,000 years old. So those two are just not connected. The fact that I don't believe in God anymore actually owes more to the existence of people like Darth Dawkins and the Pope, people who will lie in service of their God, right? The reality is you cannot, the reality is that it is immoral to lie. It is immoral to assert something as factual when it is not. I don't care why they're doing what they're doing. Provide me with a DOI of a peer-reviewed article in support of your claims, or shut up. It's as simple as that. Until it hits peer-reviewed journals, it is not science, and I'm not going to accept it as factual. You are speculating on what they will find. You are speculating on why they are doing what they are doing, and you have no basis for your belief system other than it agrees with your preconceptions. Provide a DOI or shut up.
So yeah, Tina Jones, you are correct. This is Four Beardsmen, or Two Beardsmen at the moment, not debate randos. Yes, and Otangelo is definitely a rando who jumped up in the fucking chat and said, "I have knowledge that no one else has."
Sorry, guys. No, they didn't, Otangelo. You are asserting that something is real when it isn't. So let me look up a DOI. I should know what a DOI stands for, but every single academic the article will have, and indeed a lot of DOI is a digital object identifier. Is the string of numbers, letters, and symbols used to permanently identify an article or document and link to it on the web. A DOI will help your reader easily locate a document from your citation. So basically, for peer-reviewed articles and journals, and indeed the databases that they use, they will provide a DOI, a digital object identifier, so that you can always find the article that you're referring to, or the database that you're referring to, or whatever. So every single academic article will come up with a DOI, and until a DOI exists, basically any claim can be rejected preemptorily. So Otangelo is claiming that something that will happen that hasn't happened yet should be accepted as reality. No. Until it appears in the literature and has a DOI assigned to it and peer-reviewed literature in a reputable journal. I don't care about what gets published in creationist rags like, Creation Science Quarterly or whatever the fuck.
Biblical Biweekly.
Yeah, Biblical Biweekly. That's a good one, actually. That's catchy. You could market that. Unless and until it appears in the peer-reviewed literature, it doesn't exist. And don't claim that it is a fact, right, Otangelo? You can claim that you can accurately claim that people are investigating this. Fine, okay, that may be true. But unless and until they publish their results in a peer-reviewed journal and come to the same conclusion that you did, I don't care about YouTube videos, Otangelo. DOIs in peer-reviewed literature. What is so hard to understand about peer-reviewed literature, right? If it isn't in peer-reviewed literature, it isn't real, Otangelo. It is just nonsense.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Otangelo. Flat Earthers try to do this all the time, that they will literally pull up videos made by other Flat Earthers, that totally misrepresents what they're talking about. That is not to be, that they're drawing conclusions about reality that aren't, that literally are so fucking fallacious that we just laugh at them. Flat earthers do the same crap. You are literally using flat earth logic to just not for flat earth, for try to prove God. And even, I mean, and like I said, like I'm getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting a little pathetic. It's not my job to,
No, Atangelo, what we have is not accepting something unless there is evidence in favor of it. You can't just make up any old bullshit and say, well, you're just being incredulous about it. You need to have some evidentiary basis to support your argument. And if you don't have any evidentiary basis, then we're going to dismiss it. Let's take, for instance, the Wallace line. So the Wallace line is the line between Indonesia and Australia. Now, on one side of the Wallace line, you have Australian plants and animals. So, marsupials and eucalypts and and this sort of stuff. And on the other side of the line, you have old world, biomes that involve placental animals and different styles of birds. There are lots of parrots on the Australian side of it, cockatoos, galahs, cockatiels, all sorts of stuff. On the eastern side of it, you have a completely different set of birds, and this was actually, Wallace was actually a somewhat more persuasive researcher in terms of making the evolution argument than Darwin was. But Darwin published first, and Wallace came out with a lot of support for him. If you look at this, how did koalas get from wherever Noah's Ark was supposed to be to Australia unless there were eucalypts for them to eat? They only eat eucalyptus leaves, right? So they cannot have traveled from the Middle East to Australia if there were no eucalyptus leaves for them to eat on the way, right? So where are the eucalyptus trees that the koalas ate on their way from Israel to Australia? Point me to them. Point me to the evidence. Point me to the evidence that there were eucalyptus trees that koalas could graze on in between Israel and Australia. Show me one eucalyptus tree in that band that dates to the appropriate period. You can't.
Oh, and now he's bringing up this. This is what we were talking about at the very top of the stream. You were in a state of denial. You even denied that the genetic code is translated equally, that languages are translated. So obviously this is a breakdown in his English at this moment, but this is exactly what we were talking about, that he is taking conceptual terminology and applying it literally in this respect. And no, like, once again, Otangelo, you are incorrect. Certain terms are used colloquially and certain terms are used scientifically. Some terminology is utilized, like certain words are used to describe something, to make it more conceptual than just saying chemical interaction. Okay? So we look at it, we look what the chemical interaction is doing, and we say, oh, it's kind of similar to this. This will make it easier to conceptualize. So we give it words like transcription and translation. But that's not actually what's happening. It's not like translating English to Spanish. It's not like transcribing a language. It's not that this is not what's happening. It's a chemical interaction. But if you misapply those terms, that's why you're going to keep running into the brick wall that you're running into.
Atangelo, please list in the chat all of the scientific qualifications you hold. What degrees do you hold? While we're waiting for that, let's actually talk about something interesting. Irish Demon is supposed to be here. So,
Yeah. So I saw him message. Hopefully he'll pop up. Let's see. Yes, we know about Tony's PhD. I do not have a PhD. I paid for my own education, and I unfortunately could not pursue it up to the master's level. It really bummed me out. I wanted to go into. I was in psychology. Forensic psychology was my where my focus was. I couldn't pursue it, and I've made more money as an actor with my theater degree than I have. I think I ever did as I would have as a psychologist, because I can't do couch therapy. I can't do that shit. Yep.
So Tangelo's vlog, that is relevant because you are claiming that other people don't know what they're talking about. So in order to demonstrate that, you need to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, which means that you need some independent accreditation that you understand something about science. I guarantee you don't know anything about science.
Oh God, here he is, quote mining again.
Well, we can completely ignore that one. What did Tina say?
Tina, where did she go?
No, Tangelo, you're just babbling incoherently, and you don't understand what you're talking about.
The only flood. Tina said the only flood that would make sense is the Mediterranean Sea forming, not a global flood, though. No, because global flood, I guess somebody forgot to tell the indigenous Americans.
Okay, global flood, Tangelo. When did the Antarctic ice sheet form in the young Earth creationist timeline? When did the diamictites in Oman, Namibia, Australia, Japan, and China and Death Valley form? When did that happen in the young? Do you know what a diamictite is, Tangelo? Do you understand the time scale on which the tens of meters of carbonaceous capstones on top of those diamictites would have to have formed over? You cannot just press fast forward on the formation of carbonaceous capstones, because that would require an extremely high carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere, enough to be fatal to all vertebrate life, actually. So when did that occur in the young Earth creationist timeline? It would also require an extremely high bicarbonate concentration in the ocean. When did that occur? Because that would be extremely fatal to any diatomaceous life forms, or any silicaceous life forms, any carbonaceous life forms in the oceans. For instance, foraminifera. I'm not arguing that there's no God at Tangelo. That's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm arguing.
That's where it's going to go.
And that's where you are being a liar, because I was a Christian for 30 years. And for 30 years, I did not believe that the Earth was 6,000 years old. Right? The existence of God has nothing to do with the age of the Earth, you idiot. Right? My non-belief in God actually owes more to mendacious, intellectually dishonest fuckwits like yourself than it does to science. Right? It's you guys who are willing to lie, who are willing to misrepresent reality, who are the problem. If God exists, then he cannot be talking to you, right? You claim to be in personal communication with God. You claim that God is telling you what is right and what is wrong. And you are lying in public. You are lying to us. You are lying to me. And I am well informed enough to know that you are full of shit. I am now an atheist, Antangelo, because of you, because of evil sacks of shit like yourself who just go out in public and bullshit innocent people.
Congratulations, Otangelo. Congratulations. You have failed in your Christian duty. Demonstrably, right here in front of the 41 people that are watching currently. Well, wow, which is I think that's a fucking high for me. You have failed in your Christian duty. You have literally deconverted somebody. Congratulations, right there like that. But this is the problem. This is I said PhD. It's not Krakatoni anymore. It's PhD Toba. That's what it is. Oh
well, this is the thing. Like, I when I'm talking to these lying sacks of shit, right? Tangelo, if you want to say that if you want to believe in God, go for it. If you think that God is fantastic and that God is necessary for you, go for it. I don't object to that, right? You want to believe in God. You think that the world only makes sense if there's a God. Go for it. I don't mind, okay? You can believe in God all you want. God can exist. I don't object to the concept that there exists a God. But what I do object to is you lying in order to pretend that the existence of God has been proven, because it hasn't, right? The existence of God is not proven. You can believe in God, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to argue.
Otangelo, I'm sorry. Atheists confess what they don't believe with the enthusiasm of a believer. What the fuck is that? How is that relevant? We have evidence on our side. You don't.
Well, okay. Again, so I'm going to come down between the two of you. Otangelo, for 30 years, I was a Christian. I am now an atheist. One of the reasons I am an atheist is because people who claim to be Christians do evil things, and God does not stop them. God lets them do evil things. Like you coming here lying to my face and lying to everybody else in the chat. You are lying. You are lying, Otangelo. You are just telling untruths. And the fact that God lets that happen. And if God were a good being, God would not let that happen. Also, God allows untold cruelty to humans. Yeah. But what you cannot, but that does not, that actually, this is not my argument. My argument is not that I can prove to other people God doesn't exist, right? I cannot prove to you, Otangelo, that God does not exist. But you are claiming that you can prove to me that God does exist and that the Bible is literally true. And you are lying when you say that. It's just a flat out lie. It's not a misinterpretation. It's a misrepresentation.
So at this point right now, Otangelo has devolved into his typical, the asinine bullshit that he gets. When he gets knocked down on the science and he can't back it up, and he realizes he's painted himself into a corner.
Yes, you did, Otangelo.
Hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna drop the hammer on this. I'll just take a breath. I'm gonna drop the hammer on this bullshit. So Otangelo is devolving into his whole backpedaling, dishonest bullshit, questioning atheists want to remove free will, which I don't know what the fuck that means. Otangelo, no one here believes the bullshit that you say. You misrepresent science, you misrepresent other people's arguments, you quote mine, your behavior is dishonest, and nobody finds you entertaining, okay? Well, at least, for, short periods of time we do, but not for long periods of time. It gets fucking old. Please stop following me. please stop trying to win a debate that you lost over a week ago. I'm sick and tired of it. It's aggravating the shit out of me. It's probably aggravating Johnny because you're doing it on his channel. But nonetheless, keep doing your thing. I don't give a fuck. For the time being, because you're aggravating other people in the chat with your bullshit, I will be putting you in timeout. So we're not going to deal with Otangelo. Not going to have to listen to his bullshit for at least 5 minutes. If someone else wants to time you out, if there's mods in the room, you can time his ass out, because all he's doing is aggravating the shit out of Tony by misrepresenting him and lying his ass off. And he's been running after my ass, hounding me about this, about the results of basically about the debate. And I'm sick and tired of fucking hearing his bullshit trying to win a debate that he lost over a week ago. So nonetheless, hopefully Irish will be in here shortly.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. His last post was, prove to me how I misrepresented science. I am a scientist. You misrepresented science. Clive Wells is a scientist. You misrepresented science. Clive Wells can feel free to correct me, but I think Clive Wells will agree with me that Otangelo is misrepresenting the science.
Absolutely, yeah.
Every qualified scientist who is exposed to your noxious bullshit is going to agree that you are misrepresenting the science. Now, if you want to, again, and I cannot say this enough, I don't have a problem with Christianity. I don't have a problem with any religion, right? Most religions are all about let's be nice to other people. And that's fine. That's a perfectly valid and constructive thing to be dedicated to. MC Toon is a Christian and a more wonderful person I'm not sure that I've ever met. It's not, I am not arguing against religion. I'm not arguing against the existence of God. I'm not arguing against Christianity. What I am arguing against is the assertion that the physical evidence agrees with the literal interpretation of the Old Testament and the interpretation that the Bible is only 6,000 years old. That is a lie.
Yeah.
It is a lie. It is untrue. It is simply false. And please desist from saying it. You just, as soon as you're challenged on it, you go, oh, well, you're arguing that God doesn't exist. No, I'm not arguing that God doesn't exist. I'm arguing that the earth isn't 6,000 years old and that the evidence isn't consistent with that. And you are lying again by misrepresenting what I'm saying. If you're a okay, let me just get this out. If you're a fucking Christian, don't lie about me, don't lie about science, and don't lie about scientists. Fucking tell the truth, right? You, Otangelo, are lying. Yes. Stop it. Stop sinning.
Let's see, Michael Skeptic Dank says, Tony's wrath echoes through time. When Ken Ham asked him, were you there? Tony's answer was, I am. Tony Regime says, PhD Tony Jail warned the majority of Jews, Christians, and Muslims would probably say that Otangelo is misrepresenting the God of Abraham. He does misrepresent the Bible. He does. I've been in conversations where he has done that. Oh, wow. Okay, so okay, I apologize. This is one thing that's got a little bit aggravating because I'm using StreamYard right now, and I like StreamYard for its functionality. The problem is when you use StreamYard, I'm not in the YouTube. I'm not on the YouTube studio screen, so I can't assign new mods, and I can't do some of the stuff with the interaction with the chat like I can when I'm in the YouTube studio deal. I'm in the StreamYard one. So I can time people out and I can block people, but I can't, and I can do cool stuff on the screen, but I can't give people wrenches, which sucks. I think there's a way to give people wrenches outside of this. Like I could literally just go and find people and give them wrenches. I think if I have like their YouTube line, if I have like their YouTube channels, I can give that person a wrench directly, but I'm still kind of like figuring that out. And hopefully my community stuff will be approved here since I hit 1,000. I'll get the community tab going, and it'll be really cool. I'll be able to do stuff there. So that's the only thing I don't dig is I can't give wrenches. I can't give spanners to people in the StreamYards.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a problem.
Hopefully they'll fix. Hopefully they'll fix that.
So I apologize to everybody in the channel who was trying to calm me down and trying to, this guy refused to debate me twice. No, yes, Atangelo, but that's a stupid argument. You refused to debate me twice because what I wanted to debate was the physical evidence in support of your claim, right? There is no physical evidence consistent with the assertion that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. Absolutely none. Zero. Right? All of the evidence suggests that the Earth is much older than 6,000 years old. And at no point during my phase as a Christian did I believe that the Earth was only 6,000 years old.
Yeah, me neither.
Because
my years as Christian, me neither. It was literally never brought up. There was very little science denial when I was in the church. But then again, to be fair, my pastor I honestly think he was really more of a philosopher than he was a pastor. I think that's why he chose the Methodist faith, is because he could function more as a philosophical teacher than as a pastor. So yeah, I think philosophy kind of colored by the good parts of Christianity.
Yeah. But no, Tangelo, the reason I don't believe in a God anymore is because he allows unnecessary suffering of animals in particular. There is no benefit. Okay, humans need to suffer in order to learn something, but that doesn't make the suffering of animals at all productive. And like I say, there are animals whose spiritual being and whose entitlement to an afterlife I treasure much more than I treasure, for instance, Nathan Oakley's claims. Also, I don't want to live forever. I don't want an afterlife. Quite frankly, it seems like a fucking torture to even suggest it. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if it's in heaven or if it's in hell. I don't want to live forever.
At least in hell, you'll be surrounded by the majority of your friends.
Quite possibly so. Yeah. But either way, I just want it to fucking end. I don't look forward to living forever surrounded by fuckwits like Tangelo and Darth Dawkins and pretending to be polite about what fuckwits they were. Anyway. Yeah.
Well, look who's finally arrived.
Hello. How is everybody?
Doing good.
I just came in at that. My hair's all over the fucking place. I just came in at the last second there to catch what Tony was saying. I totally agree. It just seems like the eternal North Korea. At least you can escape North Korea when you die. But
that's a big thing. It's like it brings up questions like, is there free will in heaven? Is this all we want to do? Is like go up there and just worship eternally and all like that? Then essentially, I'm not me anymore. That's not me. So so technically, I'm not even made. So even if I were to die and go to heaven, it's not something that I myself would want to do. Even if I was like a Christian, be like, well, I don't want to like fucking just bow and scrape and be like adored it for all fucking time. Why?
So here's the thing, right? When I was growing up, because in the Catholic faith in Ireland anyway, you don't get given the kind of biblical literalist approach. You get given this kind of wishy-washy, heaven's this great place where you live in a mansion and you do everything you want to do. And anything you love doing on earth, you can do eternally in I don't know, fucking heaven or whatever. But here's the thing, like, what if I like, I'm a complete fucking degenerate, right? Like, I'll freely admit that. So if I like fucking smashing mish all day, is Jesus going to just stand by while I mac down? Is that how that works? Or am I going to be like,
pretty much? And I think it's actually rather more sinister than that. Because if you believe in an afterlife, then what is the downside to killing somebody, right? Because they're only going to go to their eternal reward. I mean, if you look back at the Albigensian Crusades, there's a French bishop who was quoted as saying, "Kill them all, God will know his own." Right, which if you accept Christianity as real, is a perfectly valid moral position to take. Right, kill them all, let God do the judging, and he'll come to the right decision about it all, and nothing is lost. Now, that's okay if God exists, but if God doesn't exist, then you have just completely ended the existence of these people with no do-overs, with no second guessing, with no fairy godfather to sort out what happened. And there are people who have killed. There are demonstrable cases where people have killed in the belief that it is better for these people to die than to continue along their path of behavior that would lead to eternal hell. So, I actually think that the believing in the existence of an afterlife is actually really, really dangerous. It can be really, really harmful.
Thor Rasmussen brings up, it's an interesting point. We didn't get to touch on it when I was on Irish's channel before. Say, if there is an afterlife, what's the point of this? And it goes where I go with that when I'm talking about it is essentially if God is omniscient and omnipotent and had foreknowledge of this and had the ability to do whatever, because by description this is what he is, even though there are logical contradictions in those descriptors, but we'll set those aside for the time being. Then in the face of an omniscient, omnipotent creator, any kind of test is completely arbitrary. That there is no purpose. Because the omniscient, omnipotent creator can simply make that which he wants in the state that he desires it. So,
except for a Bible, that's what we're saying is like
the Bible would be pointless. What's the purpose of the Bible? What's the purpose of the confusion that the Bible causes? What's the purpose of all of this stuff comes along, becomes completely and totally arbitrary, and to a degree becomes sadistic. Because the omnipotent, omniscient creator could simply create it in the state that he wants us to wind up in without the unnecessary suffering. I mean, come on, dude. He could have actualized a world with no bone cancer in children.
Yep.
How about you actualize a world where at least hunger is mitigated? Just that. Doesn't even have to be a massive change. Just to say, okay, hunger, children don't starve to death. That's a good one. Okay, I mean, whatever, slight tweaks just for the end. So unnecessary suffering is literally is arbitrary when the being could just create it right then the way he wants it. No, Satan is arbitrary. The fall is arbitrary. All this bullshit completely arbitrary.
And I know I am about to sin, but fuck knows if I were. Look, it's off camera. It's off camera. You cannot tell.
At least you admit it.
I'm going, and this is why
I need to put on a hat because my hair is really ridiculous. So I got to put a hat on.
But okay, but for an omniscient, omnipotent God, he seems fairly fucking touchy about what inconsequential nobodies might say about him behind closed doors.
Inquisitor Vegas. No, go ahead.
Nice hat.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Just stole the show.
This is my serious debate hat.
Is it your serious debate hat?
Absolutely serious debate. It's like I actually have a video coming out in about a half an hour where I respond to a Christian who said that they destroyed Christopher Hitchens's question. And the question is a simple one, and all he says is, can you please name one thing that a believer, in terms of morality, that a believer can do that a non-believer cannot do, physically cannot do? And his answer is as ridiculous as you would think, and I'll leave you see that when it comes out. But
yep.
Oh yeah,
I'm curious about myself.
The answer is not what I expected. I expected something a bit different. But just to go on that for a quick second,
is it related to masturbation?
It was afterwards when I was done because I was so excited. But there was it was quite, well, I guess surprising in some respects and unsurprising in others. But he flipped the question around, and let's see if you guys can guess what my answer was. And Jen sent me this video. I didn't watch it before I did the reaction because I wanted it to be a raw reaction. But what is something that that a believer can do that a Christian that a non-believer cannot do?
A believer can do that a non-believer cannot do. Well, a believer can kill somebody. In like I was just saying, a believer can kill somebody and believe that God will judge the soul independently and not believe.
That's exactly what I said. It's pretty much, I said, I just, it immediately came to my head. I was like, kill somebody in the name of that God. That is something that I cannot do because I don't believe in that God. And so, he was trying to find something immoral that a believer could do that a non-believer could not do. And that's the first one that came to my head. I am incapable of killing somebody in the belief that it, benefits a God of some description.
I mean, Tony Regime says a believer can repent. I can repent. So I can, some people, this is going to come as a shock to most of the people in the chat, but on occasion it can happen that I lose my temper. And I can
get
say,
the fuck out of here.
And
can you, Tony? Can you?
Yes, I fucking can.
I bet your neighbors love you, man.
Halt! Obvious police.
But yeah, I can say intemperate things, and I can and I can say, I can later on, say things. There are things that I've said to JL and things that I've said to you, Irish, and that was a bit heated. I'm really sorry about that. And I've repented of saying them. I've apologized to them, and I hope, but that sort of thing happens. So it's not just believers who can repent. I think it's just being a social animal allows us to understand, well, sometimes we're going to do things to annoy the people around us, and we have to just say sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. There are people in the chat. I'm sorry to, your idol has clay feet. I'm sorry.
It's amazing.
Sometimes I lose my temper.
One of the things this Christian said is that
Fred Knotts wants to ask: does it still sting when someone stings someone he says that? Just a little. The sting is almost gone. Whenever I hear "yes, I fucking can," it's kind of like, and then it passes rather quickly.
That's why they say you should never meet your heroes. But this guy, this Christian apologist guy, he reckons that the most immoral thing that you can do is to not believe in God. So by that, what I put to him, and you guys will see it in the video later, is quite simply, do you find it reasonable that I, as a non-believer, could go through my whole life doing charitable work, giving all of my worldly possessions to others, comforting people, making people's lives brilliant, but a believer could go out there killing, raping, doing all that nasty shit, but as long as he believes and then says, oops, sorry, St. Peter's going to let him in, but not me? How does that make any fucking sense? Like, where's the justice in that?
How does that even make any fucking sense?
It doesn't. Not even remotely. It's fucking outrageous. Oh man,
Clive
crazy.
Wells. Yes, I see the ghost. I see the ghost, Clive Wells.
Well, the other aspect is, which God is it immoral to believe in, to not believe in?
Exactly. Exactly.
So this relies on the God that he is envisioning and he is worshiping, being exactly the same as the God that even other Christians, even other members of the same denomination, will have a different image of God and a different approach to God than he does.
You got this so spot on. Like, when you put it beside what I said, you pretty much saying the exact same things that I said. It's remarkable, actually. But yeah, no, I agree 100%, 100%.
So we've had our daily dose of Otangelo, and I think he finally left. So yes, Charlie Welch, and thank you, Charlie Welch, for coming in. It's good to see you this morning. We had a bunch of people come through. Sir Little Wolf, I did see as a super ghost duck. Shane Summer, I'm seeing a lot of people coming in. So welcome everybody. I'm glad everybody is here. I think he did leave. I think he's done. So, and yes, Mike Ripper brings up, how does Tony Demon in jail going to hell, but Nathan fucking Thompson goes to heaven? And what fucking world does that make any goddamn sense?
Exactly,
yes.
Man. It makes no fucking
none
sense.
whatsoever. But we've had our daily dose of Otangelo. Tony has erupted, and the igneous rock is cooling around him. And
is that a euphemism? That sure as shit sounded euphemistic to me.
That's my second explosion of the day and my fourth explosion of the week.
Man, this is active chain over there. Active chain over there in Australia.
You must have good internet right now. Holy shit! Smashing that prawn hub.
I exploded on Flat Earth Aussie Jesus on Fight the Flat Earth channel earlier today.
Was it reciprocal or?
It seemed non-consensual. He seemed.
I don't consent to this. Oh, it's in my fucking eyes.
Oh my god!
But and we checked it with Tony.
One of them was actually consensual because I ended up. So this week I ended up in conversation with Flat Earth Aussie Jesus on Fight the Flat Earth channel. I ended up in conversation with Landry Chamberlain on Fight the Flat Earth channel, and I ended up in conversation with Brian Leakey on MC Tunes channel. And of those conversations, Landry Chamberlain is a COVID-denying piece of filth who uses his girlfriend's mother's death to promote, paranoia conspiracy theories. So he's just a piece of human-shaped excrement as far as I'm concerned, and I'm glad to have played my small part in revealing that to the broader community. Flat Earth Aussie Jesus is, as he always has been, but Brian Leakey was actually, he deliberately wound me up. He was like you, Irish. He actually fucking went. He got the. He interrupted me like 5 times, and when I said, when I gave him a hard time about that, he just said, "You're a fucking liar. I haven't interrupted you." And I just went off like I was fucking berserk. And he's just gone. I'm winding you up. I'm winding you up. I'm going, okay. And then we had a perfectly civil conversation after that. So he was actually quite interesting. It was a change of pace.
I'm curious. Charlie Walsh just said MDD is such a joke. Yeah, that's an objective statement. But platforming someone that says a giant dog chewed on the moon, not exactly an intellectual conversation. And I agree. But the only person I've heard make that claim is why you are an idiot. So is MDD platforming that jackass?
No. So today they had Flat Earth Aussie Jesus on, and Flat Earth Aussie Jesus believes he believes that the Grand Canyon was dug out by giants and inflated with helium and put into the moon. He also claimed at one point to have watched some tennis that was CGI'd and wasn't really happening. There was CGI'd crap, CGI rendered crap. Sorry, those were his exact words, I think.
Okay.
So he, which rather he didn't understand why that video cast some doubt on whether or not he could actually immediately distinguish between CGI and reality. Which would, he didn't understand that the fact that he had a false positive on record impacted his credibility as far as that was concerned.
Gotcha. All right. Cool.
Can I just while we're on the air, I just said I'd have a look at this whole thing. So, would it be right to say that Richard Branson is about to become the first self-funded astronaut? I know Mad Mike Hughes tried, and unfortunately that didn't go too well.
He didn't. Mad Mike never got anywhere close to where Branson is going to go. So
yeah, he only pushed it. He only pushed it 2,000 feet. Yeah,
it is precisely fair to say that about Branson. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call Mike Hughes a astronaut, more of a space cadet, but not an astronaut. But so that'll be interesting to watch. I think it'd be pretty cool to see that.
Jarl says Branson's not going above the Kármán line.
Well, actually, I think he's misspelled Kármán. I think it's actually Kalman. Okay, I'm not certain that it's spelt that way, but the Kármán line is actually a fairly arbitrary delineation.
Tony Regime says Branson is going into low Earth orbit.
Yeah, okay.
Which is space flight.
9 days before Bezos.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's like
that's gotta hurt. It's
like literally a race. It's a race.
It's a space race,
to which billionaire can get in the fucking sky first.
You know what would be hilarious? If in like 10 minutes time, because the flight's due to take place in a couple hours, if in 10 minutes time fucking Elon Musk goes live on Twitter and he's like, okay, so in my... And next thing you just see this fucking thing take off from Boca Chica and he's just waving at Branson going past.
Yeah, that would be fucking hilarious.
That would be amazing.
Tesla.
Hard luck. Sorry, did I not mention I was going to space?
And then what Branson in the cockpit? Damn you!
Yeah, damn you, Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is like, fucking out of here. See you, kid. Oh, man, that would be so funny.
Oh, God. Clive Wells has just dropped too. Seems an extreme move to avoid the football, which reminds me very much of Hitchhiker's Guide. The world's about to end in 15 minutes. Be a lucky escape for Arsenal if it did, sir. No, not really. But Clive Wells is also observing that Branson is going into LEO, which conjures an entirely different image, because when somebody uses that acronym, I always think of Level Earth Observer.
I was thinking law enforcement officer.
Do you indeed?
Law enforcement officer, the LEOs.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. That's what I would refer to.
Oh, Skeptic Dank says maybe these billionaires will experience the overview effect and actually fix homelessness and world hunger.
Maybe.
Doubtless.
I'm just looking at the
Wait, doubtless or doubtful?
I meant to say doubtful. But I said...
I'm just looking at
I was hoping that nobody would catch my error. But thank you for drawing everybody's attention to it.
You're most welcome.
I'm just looking at the graphic for the flight. So it doesn't appear that he is actually going into low Earth orbit at all. So he's taking off from the spaceport because the rocket plane, the space plane, is dropped from an aircraft. Then it's climbing to the edge of space and then immediately re-entering. So it won't actually be orbiting at all, from what I can see.
So 55 miles, they were saying?
That's what it looks like. So the Unity rocket flight plan. So it says take off from Spaceport, New Mexico, climb to 50,000 feet, ignite, and then the White Knight would separate. 90-second climb into just below the edge of space, 100 kilometers. Zero gravity experience at top of climb. That I would assume would be due to the effects of dropping back to Earth. Re-entry with folded tail booms, and then unpowered glide to landing.
Well, I'm going to give him at least a nod.
It's still in my opinion, it would still make him an astronaut. I would suggest.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this. There's the Carmen line. There's the caramel line. There's the Carmen San Diego line. I'm loving this. Just read this as you guys go on about this. I have been paying it. I know. I mean, the concept of billionaires racing to see who can self-fund themselves into space. I honestly couldn't give a shit. I don't. I'm concerned about things here on Earth. Yeah, it'll be fucking cool if we can go to Mars one day and do that, or go to the moon. Colonize or mine helium-3. This is not shit that's going to go down in my lifetime. I will be dead long before these things come to fruition. But I hope it's cool. But I'd like to see things, kind of focusing here on Earth, at least for the time being, see things try to get better. But it's cool stuff. I don't super follow it, but
okay, Karen.
Well, I mean, it's just not my focus. My focus is more on the societal divides here, here on Earth.
And asking for the manager.
What manager? Christianity? I'll ask for Christianity's manager. Fucking
damn right, that fucker needs answers. That motherfucker's been out the back smoking weed for 2,000 years. He needs to come back in and sort this shit out.
Where the fuck, man? What was that Peter laugh?
Huh?
You laugh like Peter Griffin.
Oh, me, Peter Griffin. Can you imagine? You little bastard.
So we obviously we've been through the religious conversation, and we've caught up with Tony, we've caught up with me, and the Kang the Conqueror line. So I'm kind of curious. I missed you last week, and we had a little stream on your channel the other day. But what is going on with you as far as I know things have been insane, things have been stressful.
Yeah, been fucking wild.
I haven't gotten a lot of details on it. What's happening with you, dude?
So I'm heading away in 3 weeks. I'm going to be leaving this beautiful nation and heading back to the best nation in the world. And it's pretty much all the wheels are in motion now. Everything's booked. Everything's ready. So I've got to isolate for 5 days when I get back. So I'm hoping my brother will be able to bring my bike to Jen's mom and dad's house so I can paint it and keep me busy. So the plan is really I'm going to start uploading videos and getting videos prepared for while I'm away, because I probably won't be on the air for about at least a week or two anyway. And just take it from there. I'm kind of I'm concentrating a bit more on like Christian apologetics and all of that kind of stuff now, more so than Flat Earth. A little bit of Flat Earth too, but Flat Earth has just gotten boring, man. It's just completely, it's stale now, I think, for most people. I'm pretty much done with that shit. That's about it, really. That's about it.
Nice. Jarl says, did Tony put himself to sleep? I said, no, he's actually building energy for the next cataclysm.
So I am actually starting to feel sleepy, so I will probably be heading out in the next 13 minutes or whatever.
I've got a video coming up anyway.
Well, again, we've been going for 2 hours and 13 minutes, coming up 2 hours, 14 minutes. Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, it's a perfect opportunity. It's been a hell of a morning where it's, this is actually 43 viewers at once. It's actually, I think that's a high.
That's awesome.
It's close to a high for me, so it's amazing. And all of a sudden, I hit 1,000, and things just start suddenly taking off.
It immediately
weird.
changes.
Yeah.
My advice to you would be jump on this wave immediately. Get some shit out as quickly as you can.
Which is why the live stream's on my channel.
It makes a huge difference, man. And at the moment, YouTube seems to be showing preference for live streams because obviously it's more financially viable for them as well. So lower latency and more opportunity for income for them. So that's a big part of it. But also, so are we going to do this where we go back to how we were doing it before, jumping from channel to channel? I'm in agreement with that for now anyway.
Yeah, I think we're going to go rotation again. I don't know who's going to be next. I'll
probably do the one just before I leave here. I reckon that'd be pretty fun. We could have like a farewell live stream for the last. Hold on, let me just bring up what's the map of dates called again? What's that called?
Calendar.
That is the one, a calendar. So I'm leaving on the Thursday, the 29th. So if we do mine on Sunday, the 25th, so 2 weeks from now. So if Tony wants to go next or Johnny wants to go next, and I'll do the one on the 25th.
Yeah, cool. We have the message. We have the message deal set up in Discord, so we can bounce around and we can coordinate when we got Johnny available because he's not stuck in a meeting. But so it seems like Tony's getting tired. He's literally spent himself out, so we got to wait for the next eruption. So it's got to build up.
I was just going to say he needs to regain his protein.
Exactly.
For the next eruption.
So Tony, what's going on with you? Give us an update.
So I am still persistently lightheaded, and actually I get these bursts of incandescent rage that explode out of me every now and again, and then I feel very lightheaded after they're gone. So perhaps it isn't as good for me as all that. So I'm slow on producing stuff, but I am looking at this Matt Powell rabbit hole. But the that I was discussing earlier in the stream, I think. But in about 8 hours' time, I'll be on Schrodinger's Cat channel.
Awesome.
For his Ask a Scientist stream with Professor Phil Bell and I think one or two other people.
Awesome.
Very cool. Awesome. And what was this? Sparklers for Irish are banned, according to Goldberg Mom, which they absolutely are.
They are.
And so Little Wolf would like to say, Tony is a human grenade.
Yeah, I've gone off at least 4 times in the past week with various levels of effectiveness. My hope is that I've blown Landry Chamberlain completely to smithereens and we will never see him again. But perhaps that's wishful thinking.
I feel bad because I saw the Glober Mom as it came in, and I wanted to say hi to her, acknowledge she was in. And NANA, one of the amazing patrons over on Weekend Horror. I love NANA. He's been there since the beginning. Unfortunately, he just popped in right at the end, so I feel bad. But let's
just start again. It's cool, man. Tony's good. Let's just start again.
But good to see you, NA. So, Irish, you gave us an update with what's going on with you. You're prepping some videos for coming up before you take off.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that will be. In fact, how long until your next one premieres?
8 minutes. There's no premiere. I didn't set it for a premiere, but I may as well. I'll see if I can change it to a premiere. I will.
Okay.
So I'm here, and I thought I was actually going to be still asleep. That's how tired I was earlier.
Gotcha.
But yes, so it's going to be a premiere in 8 minutes. So
8 minutes. So at 9:30, we got that. And of course, with me, as you've seen, I'm live here on the channel, and I'm going to be doing a lot more live stream stuff. Yes, I will be debating Effed Up World as soon as Effed Up World confirms when he can do that. Johnny will be moderating the debate.
He's a nice guy.
Yes. The debates that I'm involved in are going to be on my channel. So I will be holding those live streams here. I still will appear on other people's channels. I got no problem doing that, but I would like to move some of my debates here. That way I don't have to continuously mirror them over. It just makes it easier. And then I can send them to other people's channels or whatever. But that's the plan. Plus, I'm still working on my stuff. I'm still working on the videos that I have. Obviously, I was setting up the office. I do
Looks
have
great, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate
fantastic.
that.
Yeah.
I do have lights coming in that I'm going to be doing things with and trying to experiment and figure out something that looks really, really solid, especially when because right now it's daytime. So there's like natural light and shit. But I'm going to be playing with the light. I'm going to be doing some interesting things, trying to make it look really, really solid. So good times there. Expect new content soon.
Can I just ask you something?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
You know the fan that you have on above your head?
Yes.
Are you able to have that on without the light on it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying it's distracting the shit out of me.
Wait, the fan or
make
the light?
it better. The light, not so much the fan. It's unacceptable, and I shall not stand for it.
I'll see what I can do to appease
You
your
better.
Irish fucking holiness.
I'm the executive producer now, so you better.
All right. Well, I will definitely. I'll be working on the lights, trying to make the lights better, make it a little bit more kind of like YouTube-y. But I'm glad to hear that all of our cameras were coming in fantastic. This is the way my camera is designed. I don't know what the problems were before, why my camera, but since I had this set up and I'm all good, I haven't had a single camera issue and no one's complained.
Happy days.
So I'm really happy about that. Other than that, yes, the fan does cause, with the light causes flickering in the poster. It does. But I will work on that. So we are 2 hours, 20 minutes in, and Irish has got a video coming up here in about 6 minutes. So if that's going to be it, guys, I'm JL here with PhD Tony and Irish Demon, Four Beardsmen of the Apocalypse, -1 Beardsman today. Johnny had a meeting. That's pretty much it. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Take care,
Love
guys.
y'all.
See ya.
Bye.
Check out Irish. He's got a video coming up. We'll see you next time.